while ago, I spoke with like the world's expert on crying and negative emotions. This professor from the Netherlands, and something he said really stuck with me. That like sadness is the companion of love. That you can't
Hmm.
have sadness unless you have love, and vice versa. And the inconvenient part for us is that we can't choose to turn down one of this emotion or turn up another. We can't say, you know what, sadness is inconvenient. I want more love. It doesn't work like
Hmm.
that. And unfortunately, it seems like we take both from boys by telling them that if they emote or in any direction, that they're a girl, that they're feminine, and even well-intentioned fathers are scared of their boys. Maybe they'll be gay, or they'll be too much like a girl and they won't survive. And so men grow up and they really don't have this ability to know what they're feeling, which is, I think someone coined it, called alexithymia. And it really hurts men to understand how they feel and how they can interact well in the world, and it's hard to love and to accept love. So my question, all that being said, is when you have to work with these veterans that have come back from these environments, how do you help them have the reinitiation to be able to love and accept love again, to understand that the whole world is not that experience that they had during whatever war they came from?
Ooh, that's a kettle of fish right there.
Right.
So in the book Iron John by Robert Bly, which sits at the very center of mythopoetics, or men's work, highly recommend that book for all the men watching and all the women who love them. And it's an old, basically an initiation myth from Central Europe.
Okay.
And there's a point in the story where the hero suffers his wounds and his trauma, and then he has to go spend some time raking out the castle ovens, and it's called Ashes, and it's in the hero's journey. It's the abyss, or the ordeal, and Bly calls that the ability to grieve, and
Okay.
grief is the process that connects sadness back into love, is the ability to grieve. And and
Whoa.
so the ability to grieve is something that is included in every indigenous culture that has intact warrior reintegration rituals. You have to grieve. And so and grief takes time, and grief is messy, and grief is not sexy. And there's a loss of capacity and efficacy when you're grieving. But it that is the time where we discharge and we purify, and we go through that process of,
Wow.
again, that's the taking off of the armor at the church. And that grief process is not something that we can do alone. We can self absolve guilt, which is important. We cannot self absolve shame, because shame is connected to other people and our role in the tribe and how we believe people are perceiving us. So if we have potentially either seen, done, or had things done to us that are shameful, then we need the absolution of the tribe.
Wow.
And that's the function of reintegrating warriors back from challenging events, is the tribe welcomes them back, and we all go in the sweat lodge, or we have the parades, and then when the veterans come home, and we give them a period of time where, yeah, he's working through his shit. Like, that grief process, which is the return to love, needs to be held by the civilian world, and that's not happening now. You'll notice what everyone says in the airport to veterans. What do they say?
Thanks for your service.
Yeah, it's a dismissal. It means, I paid you. I gave you. You got to go to college now. So thank you for doing what I don't want to know what you did. I don't want to.
Oh man.
I don't want to hear about your story. I don't want to know if you actually killed a kid. Um, so thank you for your service. Um, Whereas what really the warriors need is, welcome home. Welcome home.
I got chills just thinking of that, and how different that is. It's like you
Yeah.
did something for me, okay, but you're not part of me. You did something for me. You can go away,
Transactional.
right? You can go away now. But instead of
Yeah.
like, thank you, welcome home, or like that, I think welcome home and thank you are kind of the same idea, but so different in perspective.
Yeah. And so we we did a great job with that through most of our historical wars in the United States. Is that there was a grieving time. Uh, uh, it's a it's the third place in warrior reintegration or resiliency. That okay, you go do the hard thing, and then before you come home, there's this grief time. And in most like masculine worlds, you do something before you go home. You go to the bar. Hey, after work, I'm going to go to the pub, have some drinks with my mates, and then I'm going to go home. And then I'm capable of being a father and a husband and a human. I'm now being. But when I go to work, it's wartime. I'm making money. I'm doing hard things. I'm hiring and firing and selling, taking on trauma. But that missing third place uh, is really an ancient indigenous function. And after World War II, the the soldiers, had a month long boat ride with their brothers, and they got to grieve. They got to tell their stories.
Huh.
They got to discharge. They got to have safety and camaraderie. And then when they got home, there was the yellow ribbon parade. Wow, okay, I'm back.
Right.
And so we saw radically less suicides and what they classically call post traumatic stress disorder. And that D at the end of PTS is, I believe, a profound disservice to the mental and emotional state of traumatized people. It's not a disorder. It's a adaptation to a very adverse situation that
Right.
people do have to become to survive. You become hypervigilant. You don't sleep a lot. You don't trust people who are outside of your immediate tribe. Like
Right.
that's a survival protocol. It's not a disorder. Now,
I
it
love that.
becomes a disorder when that behavior set of norms is no longer useful or healthy or valuable and back in the civilian world. And so um, that's an important distinction because the moment you put on disorder, and a lot of vets are guilty of this, is you have adopted the victim mindset. I'm a victim. I have a disorder. It's
Right.
like, no, nope. If if you have issues drinking, with alcohol coping, porn coping, I would encourage you to not say that you're an alcoholic and you're not an addict. You are a person who may be currently addicted, but you're not an addict. It's an identity that people take on that stops the adaptability that you referred to.